Now let's talk about task 2 for both general and academic. In this part of the exam, you should actually use the exact same vocabulary that you used in the academic vocabulary part of the first part of the exam. There is no magic bullet here. Vocabulary learning takes a lot of time. What I can do for you is take you through what you need to learn and some of the more common problems with vocabulary in this part of the essay, and give you some tips on avoiding them, as well as some handy advice. One of the most common problems is you can get stuck on certain words. This frequently happens with words in the question itself. To some extent, this is actually unavoidable. One of the tips that I can give you is think about vocabulary before you start writing. The idea is quite simple. If you think of the words you want to use before you write, then you can use them. On the other hand, if you start writing too quickly, then it becomes much harder to try and vary your vocabulary. One of my top tips is that everyone should have a mental checklist of the type of errors they look for when they check their work. I'm going to look for any mistake. Doesn't really work. The point here is that even the best writers can actually subconsciously get stuck on words and keep repeating them, even if they are really careful. In general, I'm a fan of the simple. There are times, however, when you want to upgrade your English, in particular avoiding words like big that are not normally used in formal writing. Avoiding words like do unless they are part of a set phrase. There is almost always a better variation of a word. Finding variations for words such as very to show your range of thinking about collocations or phrases. Part of the solution to this problem is to learn phrases. For example, you are much more likely to be able to use participate if you have first learnt the phrase participate in sport. More functional writing vocabulary is really important. This set of vocabulary that is used in Task 2 is extremely important, and I cannot express that enough, as it helps you with the things that almost every type of IELTS writing requires. Personal words, they're kind of best to avoid them, like I, you, we, unless you're expressing your own personal opinion. For example, in an essay, instead of writing, you would find it difficult to get a proper job without a qualification. Write something like, one would find it difficult to find a proper job without a qualification. Or you could write, finding a job without a proper qualification would be rather difficult. So to correct this, you can check out the list of impersonal language for academic writing. Make sure you use sentence starters because it kind of cuts down on a lot of time, and also thinking about what to say is pretty much already provided for you. You should try to use a load of adjectives as well to describe verbs or nouns in your writing. This not only increases your word count, but it also increases the level of vocabulary that you use. Make sure you don't repeat and you don't unnecessarily write adjectives on every single word. That's a bit of an overboard. Keep it simple. Pick a word every 2 sentences that you really want to make pop, such as there was a large increase. Try using there was a dramatically big increase. Just be careful that the adjective doesn't blow the sentence well out of proportion.